Yesterday, day three being snowed in Arkansas was a bit frustrating as I was wondering what I was going to actually talk about for conversation project topics because all the rage was politics and all the politics was pretty boring. Donald Trump right now has a stranglehold on the GOP nomination. No one can really stop that. So the people still fighting the race are fighting losing battles and they know it. And so yesterday I even put out a small little quick hit on how they were they being CNN, so hard up for things to report. They reported over and over again about this story of a Trump store that how it's showing how the nation is following Trump. For some reason, YouTube didn't like it and wouldn't publish it, so there's that. Unfortunately, day four being snowed in on Thursday, this 18th of January, I don't have that problem. There's lots of interesting stories popping out there from pop culture, from regular politics. Right now, there's a plan that's been passed by the Senate, I believe, to go to the House to stop the possible shutdown of the government coming next week. I may have the Houses backwards, but I'm pretty sure it's Senate going to the House in the next couple of days to get that going. So there's plenty of things to talk about right now. But the story that's on everyone's minds and everyone's hearts heavily right now is Merrick Garland, who went to Uvalde, Texas today to give the final report on the shooting that happened at the school a bit while back. 18-year-old young man was able to get a high-powered weapon, a high-powered rifle, doesn't matter what you want to call it, whether it's military grade or not, and kill many people and a few adults, many children and a few adults. The problem was that the next day after the actual incident, Texas Governor Greg Abbott had a whole bunch of folks in the crowd behind him talking about how great a response it was. And then, as more people took time to actually ask questions and look around and just think with their actual brains and not just sort of follow along a narrative, realized it didn't quite play out so well. There was miscommunication on all ends. There were people who didn't know what they were doing. There were so many officers outside, they could have stormed the castle three or four times without any incident. And they waited 77 minutes in an active shooting situation where many people thought everything was covered and taken care of, and more children and more adults would be taken out safely, which never happened. The report just said the response was abysmal. No one knew what was going on. There was no coordination that made any sense. And there were so many officers from so many agencies, it was ridiculous. It literally was ridiculous how many people showed up to cover the scene, them showing up to realize that they were in a holding pattern and asking, well, who's in charge? And no one really taking charge and being told things are kind of under control, yet everyone stuck around. The mayor of the town, fearing that there'd be a cover up by, if not the town, the actual state of Texas, pulled in the Justice Department to do their actual survey, do their report. And today, the report was scathing. What's going to come about that? Well, the whole point of this actual talk is not so much about Uvalde itself, which is a bad issue, but bad policing. Right now, there's an epidemic of crime. And I'm going to say it that right now. Crime is probably up where you are, or seems like it's up where you are, because it's being hyped up as what you hype up right now. Crime rates in various places are bad. There are more crimes going on. Not sure if there's more criminals, but there's more things that are happening, things being seen, things that are being out there. And sometimes criminals out there on the TikTok showing it themselves because YOLO, I guess. But the one thing that's the real epidemic about this, real epidemic about crime being up, police forces are down. People who are doing security work, serious security work, are down. Bodyguards and just people who are standing out and keeping an eye on things are down. Neighborhood watches, they are down. The people who comb the streets and walk around and make sure things are on the up and up are lessening. There are not as many as there were in the past, at least by comparison. And people don't want to get into these jobs because, a few years back, it seems like every time you turned on a TV, an officer, a white one, was killing a black person for something that was seemingly minor, but turned into an escalated incident. We can fight over that description all you want to in the comments. Just like there's incidents in the military where essentially white people are not really getting down with diversity in the standards that are in the military and don't want to join, essentially for polls. There's incidents in police forcing where white people initially don't want to get into the job because of fear of reprisals, and people of other minorities don't want to get in the jobs because you're still working for the cops. Hence, the ones that want to do it get a little overzealous, or they're a little extra lazy and keep their jobs regardless, and we have bad policing. I am a staunch supporter of police departments, police officers. Some of my best friends, some of my best friends are cops, have been cops, military cops, real cops, civilian cops, and are doing the best in security and things like that. So I know folks who go through the rigors and all of the issues that it takes to be a police officer, do serious policing in some serious policing areas, including war zones. It's a hard life. It's a hard job. For most people here in the greenness of the United States, it's not quite as difficult as going through Iraq or Afghanistan, but it is a tough job dealing with people who may not trust you, dealing in places that may not be as safe as it should be, and wondering if you're coming home in the next night. But bad policing, as seen in Uvalde, where too many people showed up and did nothing, and bad policing, as shown more or less in the day-to-day things we have here, where too many people are overzealous or take control or power mad and hungry, to be honest, is an issue that's overtaking all of us. One thing I will give Donald Trump credit for is his stance on crime, and I don't have a problem. I have a problem with him saying that all Mexicans are rapists and all things like that. But the fact that he has that actual pretty even kill idea of what he wants to do with crime, although it's a bit excessive, is a good thing. But the problem is you got to have the right amount of people with the right amount of mindsets, right about ability to do these things. You just can't take literally any thug off the street who wants to beat people up. You have to actually have some thought process of people who will be excessive and not just, waive their rights to, be excessive, just let them do that. Bad policing is an issue. I don't have a fix for it. I don't have a fix for many things I bring up in the conversation. They're meant to have conversations between all of us and talk about what's going on. So, conversation opening up right now. Policing. How is policing going where you are? How is policing going in the area, the city, the state you are in? And could it be better? Or could it actually get a whole lot worse based on how the situations are going? Are people jumping at the job to fill the forces? I know here in Little Rock, Arkansas, we are very much behind in officers in need, and the classes coming in are younger and younger, doing longer shifts. So there's less seniority and less of an actual person who's actually done it for a while coming in. And there's also some issues, political issues going on as well that makes it a little bit harder. Political issues make things harder all the time. Let's talk about bad policing. Let's talk about good policing. Let's talk about policing in general. Give me your comments, give me your feedback on what I've said, and let's start the conversation right here.